Welcome everyone, this is AndresRestart, and this time we'll be talking about how the Nintendo Switch will be able to compete with the next generation systems, because guess what? The PS5 and the Xbox Series X are coming out this holiday season. 2020, at the end of the year, they will be out, and they are going to be competition despite what Nintendo may tell you. Come this holiday season, people are going to have only a certain amount of disposable income that they want to use on games. And if the Xbox Series X or the PS5 are more appealing to them, they're going to spend their money on those systems as opposed to the Switch or games for the Switch. So Sony and Microsoft are competition. That's the point I'm trying to make here. But a point that others will make to suggest that the Switch will be threatened by the next generation systems is that these new systems are going to be so powerful, the games will simply not be able to be ported over to the Nintendo Switch. I think that there's definitely going to be some games that will be made for the PS5 and the Series X that will not be coming to the Nintendo Switch. But you know what? There's already games coming to the PS4 and the Xbox One that will not be coming to the Nintendo Switch. And actually, when you really think about it, the Switch hasn't been getting too many day-and-date ports of really big AAA third-party games. It's pretty uncommon actually, and the games we see on the Nintendo Switch are of course your Nintendo games. Given that Nintendo's focusing on just one platform now, there's actually a lot more Nintendo games on just this one system, so that's pretty great. There's also a slew of indie support, but then when it comes to the third-party games, like the big third-party games, they're mostly games that have already been out for a few years, like Diablo, Overwatch, Skyrim, Witcher 3. These are fantastic games that are considered classics that people love, and they're selling well on the Switch, but they're not your day-and-date third-party AAA ports. So this premise that the Nintendo Switch won't get any of those moving forward with the next generation systems, I don't think is a big deal, because that's already been the case and the Switch has been thriving. It's selling incredibly well. I think what's going to happen is that moving forward, the Switch is going to continue to get older ports of big games that came out on other systems, but they're going to be revised or remasters or just decent ports on the system, and it's going to be fine. For a lot of people, the Switch is actually proving to be a very nice secondary system. We just got an update on Witcher 3, which introduced cross-saving. So if you have Witcher 3 on your PC, say on Steam, you can actually take that save over and play it on your Switch. I can see this feature becoming a big feature of the future, really helping to facilitate the Switch as a secondary system for a lot of people who have more powerful setups. So because of that, and because of how well third-party games seem to sell on the Nintendo Switch and how many Switches are getting out there and people owning them, third parties are going to feel compelled to put games on the system, even if these new generation systems come out. But another thing to take into consideration here, a big focus for the next generation systems is cross-generation support. What that means is that new games coming out for the PS5 will also be playable on the PS4. Now, I don't know how long Sony will support the PS4 in this way, but they have said that they will be doing this at least in the beginning, and I think that's going to be great. But when it comes to Microsoft, from what I understand, the Xbox One is going to be supported indefinitely moving forward. They said that it's going to be able to play Halo Infinite, and it seems like Microsoft's strategy is just to really push their brand and platform where you can play these games in many different locations and spaces and ways. They want you to stick with your Xbox One and play it on that system, and then decide, hey, you know what, it's time for an upgrade, I want this game to look and run better. So you'll get an Xbox One X or an Xbox Series X, and it will. So the point here is that there's going to be a big focus on cross-generational compatibility moving forward, meaning that the PS4 and the Xbox One will be supported for a few more years at least, and if that's the case, if games are going to be scalable to the PS4 and the Xbox One, the Switch is not that far behind, and considering how well the system is selling, how many people buy games on this system, and how great of a secondary system it is for a lot of people, it's not going to surprise me if developers still support the Switch moving forward for games that also still run on the Xbox One and the PS4. So if we get a couple more years of third-party support, I think that will be fine, because guess what? We are around the 3rd-year anniversary for the Nintendo Switch. The Switch has been out for about 3 years. If the Switch gets support for another 2.5 years or so, that will be pretty much enough time before the next generation Nintendo system comes out. Now, Nintendo has said that they want to support the Switch for 7 to 10 years, but if you look at the way the 3DS was supported, it's still technically being supported right now, and that system came out back in 2011, we are in 2020. I think what's going to happen is that the Switch will still get games for about 2 or 3 more years once the next generation system comes out. And what may be the case, the next generation Switch will come out and it will better compete with the next generation systems, but perhaps, like Nintendo's competition, they will try out cross-generational compatibility. And if that happens, there really is no fear for the Switch. The Switch will be able to play at least the newer Nintendo games that come out 3 or 4 years down the road. But I would say the worst case scenario here, the Switch will get support for 3 more years, it will get decent third-party games during that span, and then once the new generation Switch comes out, third parties will support that system. But perhaps Nintendo will offer cross-generational compatibility like the competition. But either way, as things stand now, as the support is right now, I think that will maintain for at least a few more years. So I'm not really concerned about the Switch, because the Switch has never been about getting the big AAA third-party games. That's never been a part of what it is. Its identity has been Nintendo games, indie games, and then really popular classic third-party games that are just a couple years old that people would love to play in portable fashion on the Switch. I'm considering that there's going to be a focus on cross-generational play with the Xbox One and the PS4 for at least a few years. I think that allows the Switch to still maintain a similar level of support moving forward, and once this next generation Switch comes out, we'll move on to that, but the current Switch will probably still be supported like the 3DS for a few more years and make it somewhere between 7 and 10 years. So that's basically how I think the Switch is going to be able to deal with the next generation. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's a major concern, especially if Nintendo focuses on having big games come out this year to maintain the spotlight. Something like a Breath of the Wild 2 or Super Mario Odyssey or maybe Mario Kart 9. Games like that will definitely help the Switch to sell and perform well for the next few years. But those are my thoughts on the matter. What do you guys think? How do you think the Switch will deal with PS5 and Xbox Series X? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll see you all really soon. Take care.